Hey friends, welcome back to another video. My name's Lefebvre, and today I wanted to paint some fall mushrooms. So let's jump in and get started. Alright, so for this painting, I kind of want to do them in like an oval shape. Actually, I have this full page here, but I don't think I'm going to need it all. So I might do a smaller version here. So I'm going to start by taking a pencil and actually no, I have a piece of tape here, or a little thing of tape. I'm going to kind of just draw or trace a circle. And then I'm going to make it like an oval shape just by kind of making it going above. It doesn't have to be perfect. And below. Just trying to get that oval shape. If you want to do a square, you could do that. You could do whatever shape you like, but I kind of want to do like a little scene of like mushrooms and then leaves or something around it. Make it look fancy. All right. So once you think you have your shape, you're going to take your eraser and you're going to erase all the lines you don't need, like so. And then I'm going to draw out my mushrooms. Okay. So I'm thinking, like, I love those ones with like the red cap mushrooms. They're so pretty. And they just like scream fall to me. So I want to do one of those, but maybe some also like brownish mushrooms as well. I don't know. And then some like plants and stuff. So I'm going to start by, actually I think I might do it with a brown watercolor pencil. Then I can kind of render it out how I want to. But if you just have a pencil, that works too. Okay, so I'm not going to do it right in the middle because I don't want it to be like completely symmetrical for that one to be the focus. I'm going to do it slightly off center. And I'm just going to do this kind of top of a mushroom shape. And it can kind of come out of the oval too if you want it. And then I'm going to do this wavy line. So it kind of goes up here and then down and kind of rounds out at the top here. Because you're going to see a little bit of the inside of the mushroom here. Okay, then you're going to do two lines coming down like this, and you're going to have kind of like this jagged edge here. And then the bottom coming out, so it comes in a little bit more. So this part's thicker and this part's thinner down here, like so. And then the back is going to go behind here and connect to the other side. See that? Then we could do like another kind of one here maybe. Let's do I want to do some red cap? I think I just really like the red cap ones. They're really pretty. This one can be a little bit more just symmetrical looking. So it's just rounded like a little bowl like that. And again, you're going to have the two levels. So you're going to go down, make it all wavy there like that. And then if you want to do another one, maybe like, okay, you could do like another one here coming up on this side. Maybe it's like a brown mushroom. Has like a bit more of like a long elongated top. Maybe this one will come over the, what's it called? You know, the circle, the oval. Like that. And then again, that same kind of level with the, I'm so good at explaining today. I don't know what's wrong with me. Sorry. Like that. Okay. And then you're going to come behind and connect it like that. This one doesn't have to be red. It can be a different color. Doesn't matter. And then I just got to make sure that I, you know, erase that. Okay. So good today. All right. Then I'm going to want to do some like ferns and stuff, but I kind of want to have this background like a different color. I kind of want to do like a buff titanium background, I think, but I'm wondering, or maybe like light green. So it's kind of mossy. I'm not sure exactly where I'm going with this. Yeah, but I think I want to do a buff titanium background. But yeah, so this is buff titanium. If you don't have this color, you can always mix like a white watercolor with a little bit of brown and yellow ochre, and it makes a similar color. Now the thing about this is that it has a bit of white in it, so anything we paint over might look a little bit more dull or washed out, and I want to layer some like ferns and stuff like that on top, but I just kind of want to see how it goes. So I'm going to take this and I'm just going to apply it to the background. And it doesn't have to be a dark wash of it or anything, but I just wanted a subtle background. Now, obviously you can use any color. You can make it green, you can make it brown, you can make it blue, like a blue sky. Totally up to you. Actually, this is kind of like a mushroomy color. So maybe I do make them all red caps. I don't know. I don't know if that's a good idea. You're watching me wing it in real time, people. I have a plan, but I don't have a plan. I don't know if you guys paint like that, but I feel like that's how I paint most of the time. I have ideas, but they're not always the best ideas or complete ideas. So I'm just going to go around this carefully. And like I said, the reason why I was using a watercolor pencil, when I add water to the outline, it will render out and slightly disappear. I used a brown color because the brown will kind of blend in with whatever color I'm using for the mushrooms, which is pretty close to a mushroom color anyway, and it shouldn't make too much of a big difference. But if you just have a pencil to do your outline, that's totally cool too. Just try to erase it a little bit just so you see a tiny part of it, so you're not getting like these dark pencil lines underneath your painting, because you can't erase it after. Once you've painted on top of it, it does not erase. So just keep that in mind. You can just roll over it with an eraser very lightly just to lighten it up. All right. Just finishing up here. Okay. All right, so we need to let this dry first before we continue any further. Okay, now that it's dry, we can start painting our mushrooms. So I'm just gonna grab my size 8 round, and then I want to pick my red for the top of the mushroom. So I have to remember which red is which. I think this is it, my permanent red, which is a nice bright kind of red. I'm gonna start with a lighter wash of it first because I don't want it to be too intense to start. And I'm gonna do these ones first. So what I'm gonna do is, you can do this 2 ways. You could draw out little kind of bumps like this and then just paint around, or you could always use white gouache at the end to make it have some of those white bumps. You can just add it after. It's totally up to you. I'm gonna try and do it like this to start, and then maybe if I want to make it a little bit more intense later or detailed, I can add a couple more of the bumps. But I'm just gonna try to draw out these tiny little white circles with my red. And you can decide how many you want. You could do just a few, you could do like a whole cluster of them. Okay, and they don't have to be perfect, so it's kind of fine if your hand's all shaky from doing them. Try and have maybe one to the side, like coming off the side. Just have them kind of irregular all around, like that. Now, I want to do some shading on here, so I need to be kind of quick. What I want to do is remove a little bit of this bright red from the top. So I just washed off my brush, dried it, then I'm just gonna kind of lift up some of that color from the top of the mushroom, like that. Then I'm gonna take my red. I'm gonna add a little bit, you can add black if you want, or green, and I'm gonna tap in A little bit more red. I want it a little bit darker. I'm going to make it so it's darker along the edge here. Because there's a curve to the mushroom, you want to show that curvature by changing up the color. So lightest up here, darker to where it kind of curves under. Okay. Now I'm going back in, not with a lot of water or paint on my brush. If you have too much water, you're going to create those weird blooms. If it happens, it's okay because, I mean, it's a wild mushroom. It doesn't have to be perfect. But just go back in with just a little bit of paint on your brush and not a lot of water. I'm going to grab just some pure red just to kind of blend it a little bit. Okay, so you see the change in the dark and the light. Like that. Okay, and it just shows that there's a shadow. That really, really helps. Okay, then the same for this one. This one's going to be mostly in a shadow because it's underneath the top one. So I'm just going to take some of that dark red to start. It can be a little bit lighter over here just because maybe a little bit of light is peeking through there. But mostly it's going to be the dark red. So I'm just going to draw some of these little circles all around with the dark red color. And we're going to speed this part up. Okay, so there's that one. See how it's a little bit more dark on that side? Here at this one, I want to just smooth out the edge a bit. Like that. And then this one is going to be brown. Okay, I don't want it to be 3 of the mushrooms. I want it to be a bit more brown. Maybe it can have like those little lumps on it too. Let's do that one with a gouache, the lumps, just so I can show you the difference on how you can do this. So this one, I want a little bit more like a yellow ochre color. Like this. And then I want it a little bit more brown. Oops. I'm going right off the outline. A little bit more brown to the top. So I'm going to grab a little bit of brown. More brown on the top. Like so. So we're going to add the gouache later once it dries. Excuse me. All right. So it's a little bit more brown at the top and a bit more yellow ochre towards the bottom. All right. Now we got to wait for those to dry before we do the insides or any part that's touching it. Okay, so now let's do the bottoms here. So usually I would use this color for the stems, but because that's the background, I want to do a bit more of like a grayish blue kind of color. So I think I'm going to add a little bit of brown and a little bit of like an ultramarine to make a gray, and then lighten it up with some water. So see that gray? It's a bit more of a grayish blue, and I'm going to go over the whole bottom stem. Now you want it really light. This is even a little bit too dark, so I'm going to lift up some of that color and try and spread it. Nice and light. Okay, same thing for these ones. And this one as well. So a little bit of like ultramarine and like a burnt sienna, like a gray or a brown, will create a really nice gray. And it makes the stem of these look a little bit more cooler. Okay, and then what you can do is you can add a little bit more. So a little bit more color, brown, like tiny bit. I'm really using the smallest amount. A little bit of blue, and I'm just going to make it a little bit darker right under the mushroom cap. Like that. Okay. Not too much to where that we get all wiggly there, because we're going to do another shadow there. So I'm actually going to wash off my brush a bit, and I'm just going to blend out the bottom of this, just so it's not too harsh, like that. And we're going to leave it, and then I'm going to take that color again, and I'll do the underneath the inside there. Because you don't want it too dark. Like that. Like that, might get a bit more brown. Okay. And then you're gonna let that dry. Now while that's drying, what we can actually do is some greenery. So I wanna do maybe some ferns. So I'm gonna take some olive green, or wait, I have some really cool greens in this palette, I forgot. I haven't used in a while. Like an olivey green. And I'm gonna do a stem kind of coming up behind here, and do like little stems coming off of that. And I'm just going to do little leaves on each stem to do these kind of like ferns. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just little leaves like that. Okay, so you have one long stem, and I'm even just using the tip of this brush to create these leaf shapes. And with each leaf, or like little extra stem here, they should get a little bit longer. Okay, so there we have our ferns. If you want to take any other colors, you could do little bits of grass in between. I might even grab some brown to do that. Mix it with my green. I'm going to try to not go over top of the mushrooms because we're not finished those yet. Okay, so now they should be fairly dry. Now we're just going to go back and we're going to do a little bit more detail. So like I said here, we want that second kind of layer there to be a bit more shaded. So I'm going to grab my mixture of my ultramarine and my brown. And I'm just going to go under where we did those kind of like squiggly lines. Add that darker color and then bring it down a little bit. Wash off my brush, dry it, and then just kind of blend it down. And it creates a shadow. See that? And I actually really like the little bit of blue from the ultramarine that you see through this color. You can even just put your brush on that side and just kind of move it along to give it a little bit of texture. I want a little bit more depth in there as well. So I might just add a little bit more darkness. And then same back up here. Just want it to be a bit darker. Again, wash off your brush, dry it a bit. Just blend it down a little bit. Okay, and then you can take the same colors. I really should just mix a bunch of those. And you're going to do little lines on the underneath coming towards that center stem. Really thin, as thin as you can. Like that. You could do the same thing for this one while we have it. Like that. Okay, and then I'm going to do a shadow on this one. Same colors, a little bit more blue. Wash off my brush, dry it a bit, blend out the bottom. And it doesn't have to be perfectly blended. Grab more color, go right underneath where you made those little jagged marks. Add the dark color. Wash off, dry, blend. Wash off, dry, and blend as many times as you need to blend it out. Okay, but feel free to go back in and add more depth, make it a little bit darker if you want. It's totally up to you. Make that a little bit darker. Like that. Wash, dry, blend. I want a little bit more blue. That's a bit too much blue. But I like the blue. It's a nice shadow color. We're going to want to do a little bit more detail on these dots. So I'm going to add a little bit of blue, and I really barely used any color there. And then for this one, we're going to use the gouache or the white watercolor after. But what I want you to do is just take a little bit of your brown, and you're just going to create little shadows underneath where some of those dots are going to be. So there are two ways you can do it. We can do it this way or this way. Okay, like that. Wait for that to dry. These should be dry. So I'm going to take a little bit of my red again, a little bit of the black, and I'm just going to go under, doing basically this under the white to create a bit more shadow. It just makes these little bumps on the mushroom really pop out. See that? And then for this one, grab your white watercolor or your white gouache or your white ink. You could even use a white gel pen. And you're going to do the little white dots. Maybe even buff titanium, like, doesn't have to be perfectly white, just lighter. Whatever seems the easiest for you to do that. Okay? And then if you want, you can add a little bit of highlight or just like lines to it. You can add more, grass kind of coming up and over some of these mushrooms. You can have maybe tall wheat, I don't know. I don't know what would be in the forest, like little leaves and stuff. You could draw bugs, butterflies. Whatever you're up for, but just kind of go with it and play around. So I'm just going to kind of finish off here with just a little bit more of this. But this is basically it. So much more fun to do one of these where you can just kind of keep going and playing. But I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something, and that's about it. Thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and follow me on all my other platforms for tons more content. Have a wonderful day, guys. Bye.